Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Let's have a look at how we can use the XGrid status effects system. Status effects can be added to items, skills, or terrain to do things like grant stat advantages and disadvantages. Status effects can also include things like poison, stun, and bleeding. XGrid currently has about 15 status effects to choose from, and you can easily add your own custom status effects to this list. We'll cover custom status effect creation in a later tutorial, but for now, let's just go over how to use the existing status effects. So, like I said, status effects can be applied through items, skills, and terrain. And if you take a look, you'll see that I have those three data tables open, and they each have this little drop-down menu here called an effect. So what I want to do is just briefly go over what each of these little entries in the structure are and how you can use them to build your own status effects. So this first one is a list of all of the effects that the framework currently comes with. Since we're looking at using an offensive skill, let's go ahead and select a debuff, perhaps a poison effect. The second column here is going to be the magnitude, so how much damage we want the poison to do is going to go here. If it were something else, if let's say it were a attack debuff and you change the magnitude from 3 to 5, it would decrease the unit that has that status effects attack power by 5. But let's go ahead and go back to our poison. Let's make the magnitude 5. Let's make it so that it always inflicts this effect, just so that we can see it right away. And we'll say that it poisons the enemy for 3 turns. So with an effect like poison, we probably want to be reapplying it every turn. If this was a one-off buff, let's say like an attack buff, we wouldn't want to reapply that buff every single turn. Well, maybe you would, but conventionally probably not. But for poison, we definitely want to. So we'll go ahead and click true for that. All right, trigger on application. So in my mind, poison works like you poison someone and then like a little bit later they start suffering from it. So we don't want to do the poison damage right away. We want them to have the poison inflict damage at the beginning of their turn instead. Okay, so moving on, terrain effect. So I don't think that we want to click this one. This is in the skill table. This is in a terrain, so we'll just go ahead and skip that one. We'll keep it false. And finally, we have non-persistent effect. Poison is persistent, so we want it to last throughout several turns, so we will leave this one false as well. I'm just going to change a couple things down here. Let's say that it doesn't scale off of anything, and we'll leave this description the way it is for right now, and this looks fine. So let's go ahead and test to make sure that our new effect that we had has all the right properties. So we have a magnitude of 5. Oh, whoops, I forgot to change the... Oh, no. Okay, so percentage chance is 0, right? We're always inflicting the effect, and our duration in turns is 3. So let's go ahead and hop into the simulator. And I'm just going to check really quick that one of our units, I think this is the one we have here, Sharp, has necrosis as a skill. Looks like he doesn't, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that to the character structure right here. So that we can see the results of our effect that we just made. So I'll go ahead and full screen, and I'm going to click on Sharp, and we're going to grab a skill. Looks like we're a little out of range, so maybe we'll just move closer. I'm actually going to have this character hang back. Alright, so let's go ahead and use this skill. Alright, so if we take a look, we see that the enemy has been poisoned. If we open their status effect, we'll see, okay, this looks correct. HP loss of 5 for 3 turns, which is what we programmed it to do. So let's go ahead and close out of that, and we'll just have this character move away for right now. Alright, so we can see that the enemy took poison damage, and looks like we defeated the enemy with not a great attack by our enemy, but what can you do? So once again, we have sort of this same setup with the effect inside of the item table. Let's go ahead and look at our flash bomb. So our effect is stunned, so that means that they'll just skip their turn. Percent chance to inflict is 0. Duration in turns is 3. Always inflict effect is true. Reapply every turn is 2. And I think trigger on application makes sense as well. That way, the duration in turns will tick down right when we use it. So let's go ahead and take a look at our flash bomb inside the simulator. Let's see, I'm going to see if, okay, yeah, so it looks like he has 1. I'm just going to increase the range, the throw range on this so that I don't have to waste a turn before using it. And I'll go ahead and enter the simulator. We'll go ahead and select the flash bomb. We'll use it over here. Okay, so it looks like it successfully applied the status effect, which is good. That unit should just be passing their turn since they're stunned. Yeah, stunned, okay. So now they should have 2 turns of stun left. Maybe I can use this opportunity to get in position for a cool little ambush. The enemy is still stunned. Alright, let's go in for the kill. We'll hit him with the fireball. Okay, so we've done one with an item, we've done one with a skill. Let's do maybe one more with the terrain. So I'll open up the terrain table and we'll take a look at this elevated ground one. So let's go ahead and change it so that it grants an evade buff. We'll give it an evade buff of 20. We'll have it always inflict the effect. In general with terrain, I think it makes sense to have this box ticked for terrain because the players will be expecting to get those advantages when they enter that terrain. We don't need to have reapply every turn, and that's because we have this terrain effect box ticked down here. So inside the XGrid framework, if this terrain effect is clicked, it's going to handle the status effects separately from the rest of them because you're sort of going on and off terrain and switching between status effects a lot when it comes to the terrain advantages. So we will just keep this one checked here. We don't have to reapply it every turn. And it is a persistent effect because while you're standing on it, you want it to be there and present. So I think this looks pretty good. One more thing to note is that if we want to have our UI be nice and clean with the way that it generates its text, we want to set this duration to 99, and I'll show you what I mean inside the simulator. But we have to actually put down a terrain zone first, which you'll remember from the second tutorial is pretty easy. We can just go to our grid system, go to zones, and grab a terrain zone. I'm going to hide our box brush really quickly and drag this terrain zone over these guys right here. So there are 4 transform zones here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this zone, I'm going to scale it up so that it's big and it will basically overlap the cells that, so after the cells are transformed, we want this volume to be overlapping them. So I'm going to make this terrain zone large so that we make sure that all of these cells are counted and receive the terrain benefit. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and hit start. And let's go ahead and run over here. It looks like maybe I did not make it hard. I didn't make it tall enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make it a little bit taller. Oh, no, what what I did is I didn't set the terrain type. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and set the terrain type to the elevated ground that we just made, that effect that we just modified inside the terrain table. We'll hit start. And there we go. We can see that we have elevated ground plus 20 evade. So we'll go ahead and run over there. And we'll have our guy stand on it. And if we right click, we'll see that indeed our EVA is plus 20. It says EVA plus 20 and not for a certain number of turns because I set the duration to 99 turns. So if you do that inside of the terrain table for the effect, it'll make it so that it doesn't say the number of turns that it's active. It'll just assume that it's sort of permanently active until it's removed. And for terrain, that's going to be when you move off of the specific terrain. Okay, well that's all I wanted to cover in this tutorial. In the next one, we'll take a look at how to make custom skills, and we'll also take a look at maybe adding some more status effects to those skills as we're making them. That's all for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.